All my life, I heard the stories. I heard the stories of how my dad had to walk 20 miles one way just to go fishing to provide meat for his family, and then had to turn around and walk 20 miles back carrying those fish. I also heard the story of how my dad attended Tuskegee Institute. That's what it was called back then, and it's now called Tuskegee University. Um, how he left walking one day in the rain, disgruntled with not being able to provide enough money for himself to pay his tuition and to buy his books. All these things were something that I learned and figured out very on that was not for me. Number one, I hate fish. And I just wanted to always be able to have children and provide for them myself if anything should happen. To me, education is just flexibility. It provides me with the independence that I have. It provides the flexibility in the schedule for me. And it allowed me to be able to live where I wanted to live, and raise my children how I saw fit for them to be raised. And I also, more than anything, enjoy the income that it allows me to have.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. We're looking forward to an awesome youth symposium and parent symposium. The slide you see right here is just an overview of the sessions that we will be providing. So thank you so much for being here today. My name is Danielle Twitty. I am the Youth Symposium co-chair. Thank you so much.
Good morning. At this time, I would like to first introduce Dr. Darwin Spiller, the Commission's chair for Tabse Parent Commission.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Darwin Spiller, the chair of the Tabse Parent Commission, and I'm so excited to have the opportunity to partner with Tabse this morning and work alongside Rhonda and her team as we deliver a powerful youth and parent symposium this morning. I'm reminded of a quote that's going to help center my day today, and hopefully yours. Heart-to-heart connections are the best for me. Everyone's vulnerable. Vulnerability attracts honesty. Honesty attracts soul connections. We hope that you connect with our Parent and Youth Symposium from wherever you are. I know we have representation from all across our 50 states, and we thank you for staying connected with us as we deliver another powerful Parent and Youth Symposium. Welcome.
Greetings all, and welcome to the Texas Alliance of Black School Educators and Texas Association of Black Personnel Higher Education historical first ever virtual Parent and Youth Symposium. I'm Rhonda Williams, President of Garland Area Alliance of Black School Educators and the Tabse Youth Symposium and Parent Symposium co-chair. I'm so excited that you have decided to bless us with your presence on this Saturday. To the parents, we hope that this experience is both a moment of enlightenment and inner calm as you participate and absorb parenting best practices from a talented expert. To the students, I hope that you're ready to step up your college, career, and military knowledge game with the great presenters we have today. We hope that you're ready to level up by taking this information you learned today and begin to carve a path for your future. And we are definitely going to help you boss up with some great prizes that have been brought to you by sponsors that just are excited and want to award you for your decision to join us today. Next, I would like to introduce to you the Tabse President-elect, Dr. Alexander Okwana.
Greetings and good morning, everyone. On behalf of the leadership of the Texas Association of Black Personnel in Higher Education, I want to welcome you to the 2021 Tabse Ys Parent and Youth Symposium. My name is Dr. Alexander Okwana. I have the honor and privilege of serving as the president-elect of Tabse. First of all, I want to start off by thanking all of the individuals that had a hand in putting this wonderful event together. They have done an amazing job translating what we typically would do in a physical environment to a virtual environment, and have provided an experience in which I know that you will grow from. This is actually my favorite event of our conference. The Parent and Youth Symposium truly captures the true reason why we are here. Both organizations, the Texas Association of Black Personnel in Higher Education and the Texas Alliance of Black School Educators, do a tremendous amount of work to support Black teachers, faculty, staff, and administrators. But at the end of the day, while we are nurturing and assisting Black educational professionals, we never lose sight of the fact that ultimately it's all about the students. And so today, I hope that you will get the most out of this experience. Our dynamic speakers for this event will challenge and empower you with the skills that will take you to greater heights as you work to achieve your dreams. So get ready for an amazing event. And again, welcome to the 2021 Tabse Ys Parent and Youth Symposium.
At this time, I would like to introduce to you our keynote speaker. Nicholas is a prominent scholar practitioner who has a wealth of experience expanding over 10 years of service in local, national, and international communities. He is a global citizen who has served in the United States Army for 7 years as an officer and chaplain, has led initiatives for the Department of Defense and Department of Veteran Affairs, providing spiritual care and clinical mental health care, and social justice policy reform on the Utah Human Rights Commission. As an educator, his work has been featured in Ebony Magazine, The Good Man Project, Education Post, and on NPR. He was also recognized by Apple Podcasts and the New York Times for his podcast work on topics such as masculinity, race, mental health, equity, and fatherhood. In 2017, he was awarded the Outstanding Young Alumni Award from his alma mater, Minnesota State University, Moorhead. Most recently, he was named as a 2021 Texas Education Policy Institute Fellow. Currently, Gaines works as a public high school campus administrator, focusing on culturally responsive pedagogy, trauma-informed instruction, social emotional learning, family engagement, and equitable discipline policies in the Dallas area school district. Nicholas is raising his two sons, age 7 and 11, in Dallas. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Nicholas Gaines.
Hello and good morning. Thank you so much, Ms. Williams, for that introduction. I'm glad to be here today. I also want to say thank you all for coming. Thank you to Tabse and Taffy for asking me to be here to speak to you all. Also, thank you to Danielle Twitty and Shania Smith and Rhonda Williams for their work in coordinating this event. I want us all, before I even get started, just to take a breath. We have an exciting day planned for you, but before we start, I want us to start the morning by centering our breath. So I'm going to count to 5. And we're going to do that together, and then you're going to breathe out. Okay? Take a breath in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do that one more time. Take a breath in on 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and breathe out to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I wanted us to start that because I think it's imperative, especially as people of color, right? That we always take in more breath than we give out. The world is going to ask a lot of things of you, and it's imperative that when you start your day, when you center your day, as you move through your day, that you always remember to breathe, always taking up more space than you give to the world. We are living and have been living in pandemics. We are dealing with a racial pandemic. We have witnessed the deaths of Sandra Bland, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Elijah McClain, and countless other trans lives who have been killed. We are living in COVID, or as we call pandemic trauma, in which we've seen over 523 lives gone just from the US. And then we're living in a collective trauma, right, of a social and political world that continues to see people of color not as full demonstrations of humanity. And that causes trauma. And so you say to me, what is trauma? Trauma results from the exposure to an incident or series of events that are emotionally disturbing or life-threatening. Trauma has lasting adverse effects on individuals' functioning and mental, physical, social, and emotional well-being. This conversation that we're having today is a matter of letting you know what work has to be done, why it has to be done, and what tools you will need to do it. And the first thing that we have to do is think about the ways that trauma impacts the very fabric of who we are. Y'all, as we are going through all these various traumas, our children are watching us. Our children, we might notice, are starting to show up differently at school. They might be showing up differently at home. Our children are showing up in the room maybe as sluggish, as quiet, maybe withdrawn. They might be tired. Our kids might be more moody or irritable than usual. They might have an attitude, or when it's time for them to perform under pressure, they can't. Our children might show up as helpless, hopeless, sleepy, depressed. I want to ask you, how are your children coping? We are going through multiple traumas at the same time, and as Black people, we are intimately aware of oppression. We are acquainted with trauma. We are familiar with loss, and maybe we still feel the stings of the expectations that we had for our parents. Maybe some of our behaviors are reactions towards others who have projected their unmet needs on us as kids. Some of us may look back at our childhoods and laugh because we have great memories of growing up in church or Sunday dinners with fried chicken and cornbread and collard greens. Some of us might have gratitude because of the ways that our parents showed up for us. But we might also have those moments when we look back at our childhood and we have lots of regret, lots of loss, lots of sadness. Or some of us might have a mixture of both. Y'all, we have trauma that has been passed through our DNA and our bloodlines. This trauma impacts the way that we live, the way that we speak, the way that we breathe, and the way that we show up in the world. We live in and act in ways that sometimes don't make sense to us as a response to our trauma. Trauma impacts our lives, our judgments, our relationships. It impacts the lenses that we see through the world. It impacts our goals. It impacts our future. Let me tell you one more time the definition of trauma, because trauma is a word that we use a lot in the world. It's actually pretty trendy. It's something that's been used a lot since COVID has happened. Trauma results from the exposure to an incident or series of events that are emotionally disturbing or life-altering with lasting adverse effects on your functioning, the functioning of your body, your mind, your social well-being, your emotions, and even your spiritual well-being and your connection to the divine. Y'all, a lot of our trauma is a result of our wounds that happen as kids. And the thing is that without healing our childhood wounds and subsequently forgiving our parents or our caregivers, we stay emotionally stuck at the age of our earliest wounds. And because of this, it causes us to repeat the cycle of suffering. We keep experiencing the traumas as we experienced as kids, as adults. Our traumas as children just become versions of our adulthood wounds. For example, let's say that you haven't forgiven your mom for missing your 10th birthday party. And because of that, you had results of maybe feeling uncared for or abandoned. Whenever this issue is triggered by a current day experience, so say somebody forgets to call you, the original emotional wound is activated and you drop into an unconscious reaction. For all intents and purposes, you become your wounded 10-year-old self. And because you feel the same pain you felt then, you react by lashing out or shutting down in your adult body. I want you to think about the ways that you were raised as a child. Your childhood is a conglomerate of your parents and their parents and their parents and their parents' beliefs, ideas, behaviors, and standards. I want you to realize that your parents have inflicted on you what they have experienced as children. And if their trauma was unmanaged and unaddressed, it becomes yours. And that's why we're here today, because you have taken a step in your life to decide that you get to be the person to stop the cycle. You get to be a person to do differently than what was done to you for the thriving and flourishing of your own children. As an adult, you get to take charge of the way that you've been programmed and create new opportunities and pathways to emerge from. Now, in order to do that work, some of that work involves forgiveness. And the reality is that people are not the only thing that we have to forgive. We have to forgive the thoughts, the beliefs, and the behaviors attached to our experiences, not just people, our parents, systems, and what they have done to us. Now, forgiveness does not excuse somebody's behavior. What it does is it doesn't excuse what they did to you or how it made you feel or even how it impacted your life, but forgiveness provides closure. And closure ends your attachment to the situation so that you can move on, so that you can heal, that you can reconcile the relationship, so that you can redefine appropriate boundaries or redirect your energy and focus to somewhere else. But the more that we hold on to childhood events, the more that they become a part of our identity, and they make less room for us to focus and form new and healthy and beneficial relationships. As people of color, as people who have experienced marginalization, we can't create new and empowered lives if we don't let go of our attachments to the childhood stories that have us stuck. In order to move ahead, we have to let go of the stories that are attached to the past so that if it's keeping us bound, we can unleash those chains and form new and more liberated lives. Y'all, hurt and misery are not the entirety of who you are. Brokenness is not your final destination, and trauma doesn't have to be your narrative. Pain does not have to be your identity. You have the power, the authority, and the agency to look in the mirror and ask yourself, am I going to focus on how hurt I am? Or am I going to focus on making the pain go away? Are you actually interested in healing? Or are you interested in attaching yourself to the pain story that you've been telling and telling everybody how hurt you are to make sure that everybody knows? Are you interested in healing? We've held on to the experiences that have come from our childhood and the identities of pain and rejection, bitterness, anger, mistreatment, abuse. And we might feel naked without being able to have those identities or use them as a justification for how we act in our current relationships. Let me say that one more time, that we hold on to our identities of pain and rejection and anger and bitterness and mistreatment and abuse because we feel naked without them. We feel like if I don't hold on to this narrative that I've had, then who am I? I can't use this to say that that's just the way that I am. I can't use this to say that this is how it's always been. And that affects our relationships, our professional ones, our platonic ones, our familial, and our romantic ones. And so in order to tell a new story, we have to realize that the life that we have is ours and ours alone, that we are responsible for making sure that we love ourselves, that we heal, and that we work to create healthy boundaries with those people in our lives. We get to decide how the future will look. We get to decide what boundaries we will have, and we get to decide what boundaries we even have with the people who wounded us. You get to decide the emotional health of yourself. You get to decide what relationships will look like. You get to decide what energies you will spend on people around you. Your life is yours. And if you hold on to the old story, it is impossible to write a new one. It is impossible to get to the next chapter. You must turn the page. You've survived the worst, and yet you still power on. As people who are intimately acquainted with marginalization and oppression, I want you to know that within your DNA lies power. There's resilience and strength. You are here because of the people in your life that have chosen to love and accept you and affirm the fullness of who you are. You rest on the shoulders of activists and icons, leaders and giants and other people who have stood in the most hostile of spaces to loudly and boldly advocate for the right to be seen in the fullness of humanity with dignity and respect. Your molecular structure is the result of your ancestors who have blazed the trail before you and conquered the valleys, the shadows in front of them. Their blood flows through every crevice of your being. And in your spirit is the will and the power and the tenacity to break through ceilings, the will and the power to crush windows, the will and the power to push through doors and dismantle systems and crush barriers and demolish obstacles. Dare to believe that there is nothing that you can't get through. You have nothing to be ashamed of. And if you decide to do the work to heal, you, your children, and their children will land on their feet because you are more powerful than you think. Our children are more powerful than what the world has told them that they are. Our job as parents, as leaders, as educators, as community leaders, is to bring them in, to hold them close and remind them, as Queen Mother in Black Panther said, of who they are. I have some questions I want to ask you. And so if those questions could come up, and these are 10 questions that I want to ask you as a way to do some healing work. These questions are going to be helpful because these questions are going to be able to direct the path for healing that you're going to take. So I'm going to wait for a moment for those questions to come up. And you don't have the time to answer those questions right now, but I want you to at least write them down, because a part of the healing work is you being able to decide the answers to these questions and decide to turn the page. And so join me as we turn the page. The first question is this: what events in your life have disrupted your ability to see clearly? What events in your life have disrupted your ability to see clearly? The next question: how have those events impacted how you show up in the world? How have those events impacted? How have your traumas impacted the way that you show up in the world? The next question is: what relationship do you have with the people, the person, or the system that caused you trauma? Where are they now? Have you not talked to them? Are you estranged? Do you have to work with that every day? Do you still go to the places that maybe deny the fullness of who you are? What relationship do you have with the people and the systems that have caused you trauma? Next question today: ask yourself, what do you want that relationship to look like? Remember, I said you have agency and power. So what do you want that relationship to look like? Next question. This is where that breath that we called forth earlier comes into effect now. What do you feel your spirit telling you to do? Right now, if you stop to pause, your spirit, the deepest part of who you are that is aligned to the divine, is telling you what you need to do. And so I want you to think about, what do you feel your spirit telling you to do? Next question. What and who do you need to forgive? What people? What events? What things have happened that you need to forgive? Next question. What happens to future generations? And these generations are in and out of your family, right? So your children, the students that you speak with, that you teach, the kids that maybe show up at your youth group, what will happen to future generations if you don't resolve your trauma? What will happen to future generations if you don't resolve your trauma? Next question. What resources and supports do you need to call into this conversation? So that might mean prayer. That might mean calling your pastor. That might mean a therapist. That might mean working with the school social worker or your child's teacher. That might mean another professional, a community organization to help you as you navigate this. Next question. How will you prioritize self-care? I define self-care as the intentional preservation of your holistic self, your mind, your body, your soul, and your spirit. So how will you prioritize self-care in your life? Next question. How will you implement community? Your family, church, friends. How will you implement communal care in ways that are meaningful and productive to you? Again, we can have people all around us all the time, but if those people are not in our lives in ways that are meaningful and productive to us, then it's just background noise. So how will you implement community in your life in ways that are helpful to you? And lastly, how is your Blackness? How is whatever sets you apart, you being a person of color, whatever way that sets you apart from the rest of the world, how is that a source of strength to you? How is that something that you can pull out as a resource when times get rough? For me, raising my two sons, two Black boys who are full of intelligence and humor and love and personality, is the best job that I've ever had. Fatherhood has shown me my capacity to love in ways that I didn't know I was capable of. It has served as an incubator for self-reflection, for paradigm realignments and healing. Being a parent is pouring the best parts of yourself and your life into your child and hoping that they become a more full and complete version of themselves because of the ways that you chose to nurture and guide them. As parents, we get to nurse possibilities. We get to help our kids craft the future that they imagine. We get to restore damaged relationships with those who raised us. We get to cling to traditions and honor our families and ancestors. We also get to create histories within our homes and give our children what we didn't have while giving them what they need. With love and from a place of clarity and grace and healing. As we heal, our children heal. Their children heal, and their children heal. This is how we break curses. This is how we absolve trauma. This is how we create rich legacies. This is how we leave our children with more than what we were left with. This is how we honor our families. With that being said, I invite you to repeat after me this mantra, this thing. And I hope that as we say it, that it gets into your spirit. So you can go ahead and make sure that you're muted. But I want you to say to yourself out loud, I call the universe to grant me radical healing from my trauma. So repeat that after me. I call the universe to grant to me radical healing from my trauma. Repeat after me: healing in my thoughts, healing in my paradigms, healing in my self-esteem, healing in my alignments, healing in my choices, healing in my speech, healing in my communication patterns, healing in my responses, healing in me. Thank you. May the joy that you feel now, may the joy that you feel even as you say those things that is going throughout your body be tangible in your life. For everyone that is listening, I call forth deep healing and restoration and full rest. I want you to remember that you are worthy and deserving of good things. And I want to thank you for joining me today. I invite you to come to the workshops that are going to be held in the symposium. This gives us an opportunity to really kind of slow down the conversation and dig in deep. The last thing again that I'm going to say is that you are worthy and deserving of good things. That includes wholeness, healing, and abundance. Thank you.
Wow, Mr. Gaines, you have started us off on fire. We are all worthy, and something that stood out to me that he said, it's in our DNA. So own it. If I had a mic, I would drop it. So you have definitely dropped the mic on getting us started off with the Parent and Youth Symposiums. So welcome, everyone. We're so glad to have you here. In just a moment, our lovely tech facilitator, Zoom facilitator, Ms. Ebony Forte, is going to go ahead and break us off into two different rooms. One will be for our Parent Symposium, and one will be for the Youth Symposium. If you are a parent, we are asking, if you're a part of the Parent Symposium, we are asking that you rename yourself. We're putting a P at the front. If you are a student, we're asking that you rename yourself with putting an S in the front. And that way, Ms. Forte will know what rooms to break us off in. Students, I hope you are ready. The Youth Symposium is where the money resides. We got money, we got prizes, gift cards, Amazon, Apple AirPods. We have a session that's giving away calculators. We have a session that's giving away test prep help. Man, I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited. We are ready to give away these prizes. So we're excited. So in just a moment, we'll get started with our session 1 in the breakout room. So go ahead, if you have not, change your name. If you have a question with changing your name, you'll want to go to participants, hover over your name, go to more, and rename yourself. And you'll rename yourself again with putting a P in the front if you are a part of the Parent Symposium, or an S in the front if you're a part of the Youth Symposium. We thank you guys so much for being here on this Saturday morning, right before spring break, we understand. But we hope that you enjoy the sessions today. Thank you.
With all the wonderful knowledge that was imparted at the parent side of the symposium. I'm sure, and I was watching and listening and connecting in with Ron and her team. On the student side, I hear we're just doing a fabulous job. So we just wanted to bring another level of entertainment, you all, to close out this Youth and Parent Symposium. And we'll be remiss, though, if we didn't thank the team for their level of organization and all of the participants, from the students and the parents. But we're bringing Seven the Poet. I personally connected with Seven at a couple of Tabse conferences in the past. Gosh, he just does an outstanding job, you all, as a storyteller. Like, he entices pros. He has this perfectly pitched voice with rhythm, connected to today's society. And we really just want, I mean, he makes you laugh, he makes you cry, he brings the excitement. So when we thought about how can we end our Youth and Parent Symposium, we reached out to Seven, and of course he was there. He's been a part of the Tabse conference for years. He was even hosting the affiliate night last night, and he's back up and going. So without further ado, we want to bring this level of excitement to you, to introduce to you Seven the Poet, who will close us out today.
What's going on, family? Darwin, thank you for that really excellent intro. Now I have to live up to that. So I'm going to get right to the point. We are in a new time in education. Now I know the children in the youth symposium, you guys are straight A students. You're on top of it and you're doing well. You're not shaken at all by this new climate. I would like to turn you all into emissaries and ask you to deliver a message to some of the students at your school, friends that may not go to school with you, but that are online. And please let them know, I want to let them know that education has a new sheriff in town. Yeah, in fact, this person specifically wears multiple hats. They are both principal and superintendent and the chairman of the board. And they still can offer a certain level of discipline to those students who may be taking the virtual classes not seriously. This person that I'm speaking about is most of you all's mother, yeah, your mom. So I want to tell y'all, the kids, please do not play with this lady as we are approaching graduation, and some of y'all been acting like you logging in, but you really haven't been logging in. So let me give you a little story that you might not understand about your mother. The name of this piece is called Old School Mama. It goes like this. She don't tolerate no back talk or chat. In fact, that's one of the quickest ways to get you smacked backwards. In fact, she's got one of the quickest hands on the planet. She won't blink or hesitate, and she wears that house coat like a cape. We call her Mama, the superhero, always there to save the day. Hit Mama on her hotline and help is on the way. Faster than a speeding bullet. Daddy can say what he want to say. When he show up, he trying to be cool. When Mama show up, she don't play. Say, Mama. Ain't gotta say something about nothing when something is wrong and you're trying to conceal it. But Mama ain't gotta say something about nothing when something is wrong, because Mama can feel it. When there's trouble in your way, you're on her heart all day. Mama wait for everybody to go to sleep, walk the floor all night and pray. And when she can't handle it alone, she get Big Mama on the phone. See, Mama knows how to pray, but Big Mama knows how to moan. Pray for you to have a safe trip and then pray till you get back home. But then she say, let me look at you. Make sure you're all right. Did you eat something? Where you been? Told me a long time ago, you ain't got no friends. I'm your friend. I'm your mama. Your doctor when you're sick, your lawyer when you need. Don't be down with you when the people that say that they down with you decide to leave. See, Mama got agape love. No prizes, no awards. But if you need proof, she's got the scars. I'm talking about Mama. Quick to console, quick to give, quick to listen. But get out of line, she quick to discipline. Mama. Not like these new school mamas that don't say anything when the kid is acting wild. One of them old school mamas splatter, rise, spoil a child. Think you wrong, mumble under your breath and say the wrong thing. She come across your face and put your bottom lip on your shoestrings. Mama. Not like these new school mamas that act like the authorities are a threat. One of them old school mamas that'll give the child the number to CPS. See, new school mamas won't hit you anywhere but on your behind. Old school mamas will hit you anywhere but the first thing she can find. You might think that I'm exaggerating or embellishing the facts. Old school mamas would have never let us wear our pants hanging off our bottom like that. But these new school mamas, boyfriends dressed like children, and I guess they think it's cool. But be warned, because your mother is from the old school. 7 Report, man, y'all continue. I wish everybody a successful school year. Spring break is upon us. I'm excited about that. Man, enjoy your weekend. Tabse, all the way to the top. Thank you.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you all. You are free to go.